I am back from my trip. And of course, I brought with me 2 more pick-a-bricks. So I actually picked these up while I was away, and we now have more parts to unbox. Now, for the most part, these pick-a-brick cups aren't that interesting. For the most part, they just have this filler brick and just a bunch of other random parts that I saw at the store. One of them being these fireplaces, because I really like how you can do sort of these explosions and campfires, and you do need a lot of these fire pieces, and I never really see them at the Lego store, so I got those. So once again, if I dump out this cup, it is mostly just filler bricks, some 2x2s and some 1x4s, along with a couple of other decorative pieces, including these kind of white round, half-round semicircle things, and I plan on using this for kind of the fog and the mist that will be coming up from the waterfall. So that could be a cool detail that we add on later. But we have all these parts I gotta sort out, and we also have a few more parts over here, most of them being more of those fire parts, and also a lot of them being these snot bricks, because I do realize that with building up all those cliffs back there, I was running out, so having more of those is always a good idea. And I even saw a couple of these carrot parts, if I can get the darn cup open. So I got some of these carrot parts as well, mainly for the actual carrot tops, because these are useful for like connecting leaves and also doing a little bit of texturing as I've done in the past. So saw that that would be useful as well. And once again, I got a few more of white pieces you may see in the cup there. And these again are for doing some fog and mist details. So I might use these. They are a kind of little bit too cartoonish, but hey, we might try them out. So with this massive amount of parts here dumped out, I guess I have to go ahead and sort them. Now that we have all of these pieces sorted, which is frankly quite satisfying to see them all separated into their separate groups there, it is time to move on to the destruction portion of this episode. If you recall, last episode I mentioned that there was an issue with the connectivity with the waterfall mechanism, so we're gonna have to fix that in this episode. And at the same time, I noticed that messing up the piles, I actually didn't complete the cliffs that go behind the waterfall, so there has to be moving cliffs as well, so I guess we can do that after we take out the structure. So that is the main thing that we have to do here, take out the structure and fix the problem. So I guess let's go ahead and do that. That section is now torn out, and actually it was fairly easy. I just took some of the main chunks of the structure and just simply took it out. And this big thing here will actually make it a lot simpler to put it back, because I know where everything goes and I can just take this entire thing and just plunk it back on without having any issue with lining things up and that sort of thing. So it should be super easy to fix again. But in terms of the mechanism for working the waterfalls, I can see one issue already in there, and that's without even looking at all the gears and stuff. But that could just be the one issue there. Oh, I'm breaking stuff. So that issue is mainly the fact that that part is pushed back. So if we take a bar and stick it into the end where the input would normally go, you can see that as I do that, the bar in the middle, if I hold the rest of the mock, gets shoved over. And that pushes up against that thing. Come on, focus. So essentially what happened, I placed in this sort of backstop blocker thing as an afterthought, and so it wasn't really placed in that well. So basically, as soon as it gets pushed from the input side, which is basically every time that I shove the other side on, it gets pushed back to the point where it won't catch anymore on that side. It should be quite an easy fix. All I have to do is get this properly lined up and then shoved back on. And, oh, that's in the wrong spot. Okay, there we go. Now it's in the proper position. So now whenever that bar moves, it will just hit up against this little gray brick there, and I can actually add in a little bit more support so it won't be moving around. And I know I'm trying to take you guys through the build process here, but I can't really film anything when my hands are in there. Maybe I can do it from above, but yeah, okay, we've got that extra little support in there. And you know what? I can probably add in an extra 2x2 just to make sure that it won't move. And with those bricks and I think we can say that that's a job done. But before we put all the structure back in, let's test it out with the other side. So I'll just grab that from the floor and plunk it down on the table, and finally easily insert the two sides together. Now the only problem is the two waterfalls aren't lined up, but I can easily take this apart, insert a different bar, and just spin it until everything is adjusted properly. With the waterfalls all lined up, it is now time to repatch the hole we made. That reconstruction took a lot longer than I was initially hoping, and for some reason I have a bunch of parts left over. So if this entire structure comes crumbling down in a future video, then we know why. There's missing parts and I have no idea where they go, but everything is seemingly built up the same, so I haven't got a clue. So moving on, we need to do a little bit of more work on the cliffs. It's an ever-going grind and kind of annoying, but it is a mountain, as I've mentioned before. So we gotta move these back to base plates out of the way and get the front ones in here. And actually, before I grab the front one, there is something a little bit concerning here. When I take the two back ones apart, this bar slides out and is supposed to be in the other side, but if it works, hopefully it works, but I really don't want to take all that down again, so we should be good, hopefully. With the front cliffs in place here, I don't really have too much else to say. We're just building cliffs. Now, I will have to grab all of my parts once again from the big mess that they are over there, but I guess time lapse. I'm actually recording this clip halfway through the time lapse, but I'd just like to take the time to mention that I've ordered a bunch of parts to continue on the cliffs, because if we look at the image here, there are these kind of dark gray sections amongst all of the light gray rock, and I noticed that my parts selection for dark bluish gray was looking kind of sad. So I ordered a bunch more of those dark bluish gray slopes, so that should help us with all of these kind of dark gray little indent things that are in this cliff. Now, another thing that I went ahead and ordered are a bunch more of these kind of wedge things here, and that's just so that we can do these indents that are on this cliff. So like there's like these little flat surfaces there, and obviously we can't just have them flat, and we have to make a little bit of texturing there. So I don't really have too many of these wedges, so I ordered a few more of those. So that should really help with this kind of indenting and then adding in that rock, and then it basically comes out and continues upwards. Although I don't really know why I need to explain that, it's right here in the photo. Now, I would also like to take this time to talk about upload schedule, and you may be like, well, there's nothing to talk about because you don't have an upload schedule. This is true, but in the last episode, I did mention that I wanted to upload weekly videos. One thing that I forgot to take into account, though, is that May is probably my single busiest month because of school, and therefore I don't have too much time to be doing Lego, but I will try. I will try to get a lot of work done, but I can't uphold that weekly upload promise, so I'm sorry about that, but my upload schedule has just been terrible. But streams are looking slightly more likely. Spoiler for the new Artisans episode, I got a new computer, so now I can kind of have this dual computer setup where I have one just for streaming and doing some work on. So that would be extremely helpful, and then I can, actually stream and we can continue working on these cliffs live because I haven't done a stream in a while. So plenty of things to look forward to, but let's move on to the final thing in this episode. And that next thing is two things. One is you may notice that the video is a lot smoother than before, and that is because I got a new camera mount, so everything should be looking a lot smoother, and I even have a little bit of gimbal control and that sort of thing, so this should be a lot more fun and a lot more smooth to get some good shots of the build. And the second thing is I'd just like to give a massive thank you to everyone who submitted designs for the houses that are going to go on top of the cliffs. There are some pretty cool designs and some that I'm definitely going to incorporate into my own plans. So just an absolutely massive thank you to those of you who put in the time to create those designs. But I think that's about going to do it for this episode. We obviously got a little bit more of the cliffs done. We have to wait for some of those brickling parts before we complete some more sections here. And again, I will try to keep building in May, even though it is quite a busy month for me. And live streams should hopefully be coming back very, very soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And with that said, Gigahertz Productions, out.